Hello everyone, this is 200,000 units, and today I have a custom showcase of my vintage collection clone Recon Commando. In today's video I'll talk about how I made this guy, show the figure off, and also talk about my inspiration of this figure in terms of picking the design. And then in terms of design, this is a skin from the Republic Commando game, one of the multiplayer ones. It's called the Recon skinning game. And I picked it because I think it's a really nice design. I really like the blue and the yellow, it goes together well. And I also think it's quite an obscure one. I've only seen two other customs of it by Beb.art and Dreaded Giant DK on Instagram. None in 3.75 scale, so I thought this would be a fun one to tackle as my first Commando. It also works a lot better as a standalone design compared to something like Delta Squad, where I'd feel compelled to make 4 more Commandos. And I have to say that's not something I'd consider doing anytime soon. Anyway, on to talking about how I made this guy. So making this figure was definitely a labour of love. It required a fully 3D printed kit to do this. Now the base of the figure is the one of the Vintage Collection ARC Troopers. I use one of the Gaming Greats ones. Not that there's much of that left. I think the only traces are the feet, which still have ARC Trooper armour, and then the hands, and of course the rest of the joints. Now then, the kit is a mix of the Skylo 3D design and DS Artwork and More kits. I'll leave a link to them in the description, and they were remixed together and then downscaled by MDC Customs, and I'll leave a link to him as well. He's my go-to guy for any 3D prints I need, and I'd really recommend him if you're in the UK. So yeah, like I said, this is the scheme from one of the Republic Commando multiplayer kits. It's a nice one. As for articulation, I tried to keep as much as possible, and like the arms are good. There's plenty of flex. These go all the way around, rotate all the way around, and then I've preserved plenty of movement in the hand joints as well. This shoulder has perhaps a little less because of that pad. Unfortunately, due to the nature of the kit and just the complexities of making it, I did have to sacrifice waist articulation, so there's nothing going on there. The head rotates and then up and down, and this is essentially on the original double ball joint of the ARC Trooper, and then inside this helmet there's just blue tack holding it in place. As for legs, I tried to keep as much as possible. Still got that rocker ankle, though there's potential that will cause paint rub, so I don't want to overdo it. And then knees about 90 degrees. Again, I think this one's got a little more just because of how I positioned the leg armour there. And then as for the hips, this area is perhaps the most awkward. Let me see, where is the joint there? This one flexes out to the side, which is the weird hip setup that Hasbro uses. This one ends up going out like that way. But it does mean you've got the opportunity for some decent poses like I showed, like this, kind of. And you can also do some running poses and the like. As for painting this figure, I primed everything grey using Army Painter brush on primer, and then everything is coated with Vallejo model colour white. The blue is Citadel Thousand Suns blue, yellow is Citadel Uriel yellow. The weathering is a mix of painted on chipping and dry brushing, and then everything got a dark brown wash with Citadel Null oil, which I then used a paper towel to wipe off any of the excess. The visor is done using a sort of essentially dotting. You start with a dark blue, and then a lighter blue, and then white, and that's then got a gloss varnish on it. Yeah, a couple of metallic areas there. Backpack again, same all round. picked out some of the metal bits, and then this control panel here. Again, a couple more metal accents on the helmet as well, just to help make the figure pop and look a bit more interesting from behind. And then onto the weapons it comes with. I've got the full range of Commando blasters here, all three variants that we see in the video game. Starting with the standard DC-17M. Yeah, all of these are painted the same, just black, then metallic lead belcher, which I use for the whole figure, again by Citadel, and then a light dry brush of lead belcher on top of that, and then everything was washed with normal oil again. The one thing I didn't do on this that I might come back to is paint the really small ammo counter that's on this, but I was not fancying that, and I'm still not, to be honest, so that I'm going to leave that be for now. And then, yeah, you've got the DC-17 anti-armor attachment, most famously used by Scorch, of course. Rocket or grenade launcher barrel there, and then again painted the same as the other gun. And then finally we've got the sniper, of course used by Sev. This is perhaps my favourite of the bunch, and the one this guy's going to be using when he's on display. I think it's quite a cool design, nice and interesting, and it complements the binoculars, the macro binoculars as well on this guy. So that's going to be his choice of weapon on my shelf. So overall, this was definitely one of the more challenging figures I've had to tackle, but a really rewarding end result, I feel, and I've definitely learnt a lot from the process. I think he looks great, and he's going to be an epic addition to my collection. I've also got another one of these kits in the works, so stay tuned and see who I decide to do next. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.